No, but that's not true.
They shouldn't suggest.
Are we all here?
Yes.
Okay. Madam Clerk, are we ready to go?
Yes.
Okay, folks. Let's call ourselves back to order to begin with a 6:30 business meeting. First, we have to do the closed meeting certification motion.
Right, so I move that this council certify by recorded vote that to the best of each councilor's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act and identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, please vote. Passes 5-0. So we are back in session. First, we'll begin the 6:30 business meeting with a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Councilors, any announcements?
Shall we read the selected members of the boards and commissions, or is that later?
That's actually then a couple of items down. We'll
Okay.
come to that in a second. So if there are no other announcements, we'll move on to proclamations. And we have a proclamation declaring Energy Efficiency Day 2023, October 4th, 2023 in particular. Whereas energy efficiency is one of the easiest, most affordable, and cleanest ways to meet Charlottesville's energy needs, avoid dangerous pollution, and reduce utility bills for residents and businesses in our community. And whereas implementing energy efficiency and other clean energy policies and programs can help to move Charlottesville toward a sustainable future and reach our climate action goals. And whereas smarter energy use reduces the amount of electricity needed to power our lives, which makes electrification of buildings and transportation more achievable. And whereas energy efficiency makes our homes and workplaces healthier, safer, and more comfortable. And whereas cutting energy waste saves U.S. households billions of dollars on their utility bills every year, up to $500 per household from appliance efficiency standards alone. And whereas city residents and businesses can continue to contribute to our sustainability and energy efficiency efforts by learning about and participating in Charlottesville's Community Climate Action Plan. And whereas a nationwide network of energy efficiency groups and partners has designated the first Wednesday in October as National Annual Energy Efficiency Day. Now, therefore, the Charlottesville City Council proclaims October 4th, 2023 as Energy Efficiency Day in the city of Charlottesville, Virginia, and we urge residents and businesses to support clean energy goals that will move our city toward a more energy efficient and sustainable future. Signed and sealed this 18th day of September 2023, Lloyd Snook, Mayor. And let's see, is Emily Irvin here to officially receive the proclamation?
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Want to say anything about the whole business?
Sure. I just want to say that the city's climate program is very supportive of this proclamation, and we hope that it brings awareness to the ways that our citizens can get involved in being part of our community climate goals. So, thanks,
Great.
everyone.
Thank you.
On a personal note in that respect, I will just pass on that about 6 or 8 years ago, I went to one of these presentations where somebody was going to spend like $7,000 of my money to insulate my attic more fully. And I figured out that I could do the same work for about $400. And so we insulated the attic with not only more insulation, but also a foil barrier to reflect the heat back out and so on. and we saved about $100 a month on our electric bill. So, or electric and gas both. But it's the kind of thing that if you think about just a little bit, you realize it doesn't take very long to recoup the benefits of the amount of money that you spend on things like insulation. Those of us who have houses that were built in the 1960s, before it was something that people were conscious of, the insulation was not very good. It is better than nothing, but not a lot. And to upgrade that to modern standards has really saved us a lot of money. So I encourage everybody else to look for opportunities like that as well. And that's part of what Energy Efficiency Day is all about. Any other proclamations or recognitions? And if not, then next item up is board and commission appointments.
Yes, sir. So I would like to make the following move for the following applicants to be added to these boards. For the Airport Commission, Brian Johnson and Roy Van Dorn. For the Economic Development Authority, Quentin Harrell. For the Family YMCA Board, Shanice Bradford. For the Sister Cities Commission, Casey Erickson and Murray Susan. And for the Community Criminal Justice Board, Dashad Cooper.
Is that a motion?
So moved, please.
Second.
Any discussion? I guess, do we need to cast a formal vote? Yeah, let's vote. Okay, that passes 5-0. Thank you. And let me add another note here that we always have boards and commissions with vacancies, and if there is something that you look at the list, you can go to the city website for boards and commissions where it says join a board and commission and just see what positions are vacant. If you see something there that you say, I know something about that, I can contribute something there, we would love to have you. There are some very specific kinds of things that we need from time to time, and if you're interested in being of public service, go take a look. Consent agenda. Ms. Robinson, would you please read the consent agenda?
Yes. Consent agenda 3 minutes, August 8th, Joint City Council Planning Commission public hearing. 4, resolution to appropriate fiscal year 2024 fire programs aid to localities funding, Fire Fund, $209,603, second reading. 5, ordinance to rezone the properties located at 501 to 507 Cherry Avenue, 05th Street Southwest and 06th Street Southwest, second reading. 6, resolution to approve a special use permit for properties located at 501 through 507 Cherry Avenue, 05th Street Southwest and 06th Street Southwest, first reading. 7, resolution authorizing revenue bond financing on behalf of St. Anne's Belfield School, one reading.
All right, we will now take public comment regarding items on the consent agenda that were just read by the deputy clerk. Each speaker will have up to 3 minutes. In the Zoom webinar, you may select the raise hand option to be placed in the speaker queue. If you've joined by phone and wish to speak on the consent agenda, you may press *9. We'll alternate in-person and virtual speakers. Note, this is only to talk about those 5 items we just had read to us. If you are one of those who has pre-registered, this is not your time. That will come in a couple of minutes. Is there anybody in council chambers who would like to speak on a consent agenda item? Do we have any virtual speakers who would like to speak on the topics?
Mayor Snook, I see no raised hands.
All right. So is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So move.
Okay. Somebody want to make it a second?
Second.
Okay. So moved by Vice Mayor Wade, seconded by Councilor Pinkston. Any questions or comments from council? And please vote. Okay, passes 5-0 to adopt the consent agenda. Mr. Sanders, is there a report from the city manager's office?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Both deputies have short reports, and I'll give mine following there. So, Ms. Marshall, would you like to go first?
Yes, sir. City Council, Mr. Sanders. Sanders and members of the community. I just have a few updates from our Parks and Rec Department to share. The Parks and Rec Department team is hard at work ensuring that our facilities are utilized and repaired as needed. First, the department is actively working with community members to rent lanes at our Crow Pool facility. Requests for rentals were open to the public in June, and the team also reached out to any community partner who had expressed interest in renting lanes. Individual and unique requests for lane usage were also received from Vision Aquatics, St. Anne's Belfield School, Fitter and Faster Swim Tour, and the Piedmont Family YMCA. In addition, several school-based or youth programs had reached out to the department independent of this process, such as Albemarle County Schools and the Scuba Team. We're delighted to have signed agreements with St. Anne's Belfield and Fitter and Faster Swim Tour, as well as Albemarle County Schools. Should we have any extra time, we're certainly excited for the potential to work with Vision Aquatics to help meet their needs as well. We're delighted to be able to provide communities, partners with affordable opportunities to access indoor swim facilities for our community's youth. If any organization would like to discuss our pools, please contact Ms. Linda Austin or Mr. Bob Gow in our aquatics department, and they're happy to coordinate that directly with the organization. Secondly, the department wants to ensure that the community is aware of the upcoming closure of Herman Key Junior Recreation Center through the end of the year to replace its roof. While we understand this limits our facilities, the roof replacement is critical to ensuring that those who use Key will have safe and comfortable access. For individuals who normally use Key, please know that you may use Carver at no extra cost. Please feel free to contact Ms. Nancy Burney or any of the team at Carver if you have any questions or concerns. Parks is also working intentionally to ensure that we're staffed and able to provide excellent services to our community and opportunities to current and future staff members. The department specifically is working on creating positions for some of our recreational offerings that are benefited full-time and benefited part-time roles. The department will soon be advertising for several roles that were historically filled by amazing temporary workers, but now those spaces will be benefits eligible, either full-time or part-time. Current staff is encouraged to apply, and members of our community who are interested in joining us are also encouraged. We're making these changes in order to provide those staff members with more stability and access to benefits such as health insurance and retirement, and to ensure our department can provide excellent and stable services. We're thankful for all our staff and believe that the community will see the same level of quality service and often the same familiar faces when they join us for fitness and fun. Finally, our fall recreation is underway. We received wonderful responses from the community regarding our recreation classes, and we were very excited to see the community's enthusiasm for those classes, and because of that, some filled up very quickly. Please know that the department does monitor classes that fill up quickly, and when possible, they try their best to either offer another section or engage in other methods to make sure that the classes are available. However, in some cases, specialty equipment or rooms are needed, like with our tumble and gymnastics courses, for example, so we're often unable to add a class. But please know that our new Deputy Director for Recreation, Mr. Avery Watkins, is working with staff to ensure we're providing the best service to our community. That ends my report, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. I have 4 items to share, and they're mainly in the Neighborhood Development Services Department. As of August 30th, Neighborhood Development Service is able to accept online payments for building permit applications through the new permitting software. Looking ahead, the final phase of implementing the new permitting software, bringing all remaining permits into the system, will go live in November. We anticipate site plans as well in the near future. NDS, which stands for Neighborhood Development Services, so if I were to say that acronym, I'm trying to save time, has a new planner, Ben Colby, started with the department in August. Albemarle County is submitting a Reconnecting Community and Neighborhoods grant to the Federal Department of Transportation. We are supporting this grant application and the study area north of 250 bypass along either side of Route 29, including the Meadows neighborhood and Mitch Drive in the city. Mitchie, right? We have formally accepted as an affiliated member of the National Association of Transportation Officials. This membership gives us access to network of transportation professional people in cities across the country and guidance on transportation design and policy. That's all I have, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
And then I'll close out with a few items, a few community shout-outs. My social calendar has definitely blown up since taking this position, I must say. Shout out to Dr. Douglas and her team at the Jefferson School African American Heritage Center. I was able to attend the cook-off last weekend with our esteemed Counselor Puryear. Had a good time eating food and talking to good folks about a few things. I also thank Charles Lewis for hosting me in my humble opinion last Sunday. And also thank you to the Albemarle Charlottesville NAACP chapter. Had a very deep dive into community concerns. What was supposed to be a 15-minute conversation turned into an hour-long round of 50 questions, but I think I handled them well. And I was thanked for participating and offered support, so I do appreciate that as well. Friday, I was able to speak to the Minority Business Alliance Minority Business Alliance's annual gala, where they celebrated small business success among minority business owners in our community. It's definitely happy to be a part of that activity and look forward to how we as the city can continue to partner with the MBA and the Chamber through our Office of Economic Development. And Saturday, I spent the morning at the airport in an emergency response drill. I want to assure all of you and our public that if anything were to go wrong at the airport, we are ready to take care of you. So I was able to be a part of an FTA exercise that is required every 3 years. It's designed to test preparedness for airport, local fire and police and rescue personnel. It was amazing to watch all the engines and various emergency responders showing up all at one time. There was a lot going on, and I'm proud to say that our fire department was a part of that mix. They did a great job. As a new member of the Cho Authority Board, I was proud to see that hard work on display, especially knowing that I travel out of Cho all the time. So I want to be able to make sure that everything is okay. And congratulate the newly appointed director, Jason Birch, on his team and the job well done. The after-action feedback went well as also. I also have one community issue that I just want to highlight for a moment. There's been a little extra conversation publicly in regards to this license plate reader program, FLOC. I just want to state emphatically that system is not live in the city of Charlottesville at this time. It was reported that maybe it had been deployed. That is not true. It was mistakenly reported that that was the case. Chief Koches actually presented that as a recommendation as a part of the gun violence task force that the former city manager, Mr. Rogers, had asked for. So that was just an opportunity for him to brief council on that being a recommendation, but not that it was actually live. There was a request by council and followed up by me, some additional community engagement that was expected and required, and the chief is working on that. It's my understanding that he has met with 3 different neighborhood groups, and he has at least 4 others that he's reached out to, 3 of which have scheduled moments or the presentations on the program in September and October, and he continues to look for ways to do that. If there is any group that would like to have a presentation, he welcomes that opportunity to do so. But I just want to state that, again, that license plate reader is a concept. It is not live in the city of Charlottesville, and this council will make that decision on if it were to go live. So just want to make that clear, and that is my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions for any of the city manager folks? Okay. All right. So we're now to the public comment period, which I guess I should have, I realized I skipped. No, I beg your pardon. We did the one public comment. Now city manager, now community matters. We have 8 pre-registered speakers, leaving 8 slots for additional speakers on community matters. If one of the first 8 speakers is unavailable, a speaker on the waiting list will move into that slot. Each speaker will have up to 3 minutes to speak. We will now open the floor to pre-registered speakers. Our first pre-registered speaker is C.L. Bohannon. Is Mr. or Ms. Bohannon here?
Good evening. My name is Dr. C.L. Bohannon. I'm the Associate Dean for Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion and Professor of Landscape Architecture in the A School at UVA. Also, a Cultivate Charlottesville board member, and I want to take a few moments to share with you why I support the Power to Grow campaign, the addition of the Urban Agriculture Collective farm at Booker T. Washington Park, and the inclusion of food equity goals in Charlottesville's strategic plan. So in our rapidly urbanizing world, the demand for space continues to grow, often at the expense of green areas. Urban agriculture presents a powerful solution to this challenge, offering communities a means to reclaim and repurpose neglected or underutilized spaces. Community-led urban ag as a design tool to transform underutilized spaces into vibrant hubs of food production and community engagement is important in the following ways. Increasing food security. Urban ag increases local food production while reducing reliance on distant stores and strengthening food security, ensuring communities have consistent access to fresh, nutritious produce, particularly in areas with limited access to grocery stores. Sustainability. By repurposing underutilized spaces for ag, we promote sustainable land use and reduce the carbon footprint associated with food transportation. Sustainable farming practices in urban agriculture can also improve soil quality and mitigate environmental issues. Community empowerment. Community-led design empowers residents to actively shape their urban environment. Involving the community in design and planning processes also fosters a sense of ownership and pride in shared spaces, thus for strengthening social cohesion. Community building. Urban ag often acts as a catalyst for community building. Gardening together, sharing harvests, and participating in relevant events also strengthens social ties and creates a sense of belonging. Inclusivity. When community members participate in the design processes and the management of urban ag projects, it promotes inclusivity and ensures that diverse voices are heard and can foster a greater social equity and justice. And finally, local culture and identity. Community-led urban ag projects can celebrate local culture and heritage through the cultivation of culturally significant crops and the promotion of traditional farming practices. So in conclusion, supporting urban ag and community-led design is not just about growing food, it's about cultivating stronger, healthier, and more sustainable communities. These initiatives address pressing urban challenges while fostering a sense of shared responsibility and collective well-being among residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bohannon. Our next pre-registered speaker is Donna Gassipo, if I've pronounced that correctly.
No. I'm going to yield my time to Ms. Deirdre Gilmore, but since y'all were joking in your earlier session about how this session is a whole bunch of nothing, I hope you'll see fit to extend the public comments so everyone here who has something to share can do so.
Good afternoon or good evening. My name is Deirdre Gilmore. I live here in the city. I want to talk about the homeless problem that we have. We had a couple of people that were here, but they couldn't stay because they stay in the park and they had to leave because if not, somebody would go through their stuff and take it. I spoke to Mayor Lois Snook on Saturday. There was an incident at the park where one of the officers kicked the young man that was sitting here. His name was Key Marcus. He was trying to wake him up, but instead of gently touching him or just maybe using a nightstick, he decided to kick him. And there seemed to be a problem because prior to that, there's a gentleman that's in the jail now named Roscoe Boxley that they arrested when your officers went over to Lee Park and woke everybody up and made them leave with the exception of the white people that were in the park. And there was a couple of white people that wanted to come and speak about it, but I think one of them is in the hospital. So I want to talk about the homeless problem. And like I told you on Saturday, people know that there's a problem because I sit in the park. I've been in that park for over a week. I watch people walk through there with their dogs, with their children, and you know that this is a problem. And y'all talking about, where Kuma's talking about raising $100 million to put our people in cages when you have people that's sleeping on the streets of Charlottesville. And I'm gonna say this to y'all, y'all to be ashamed of yourself for there to be 260 people sleeping on the streets of Charlottesville for all this development that's going on. You have a whole building next to CVS that's been sitting for years. You have the Haven, like I told you, Mayor Lois Snook, that should be open around the clock. But it's always something. You can't do it because of you got all this democracy and all this other stuff that's going on. But let me say this. Think about it like this. If it was you, because you don't really know how God gonna set this thing up for y'all in the long run, or your family. But if it was you, how would you feel? And I want to say this before I leave. Go to the park. It's a sin and a shame that they are sleeping out there in the dirt, and people do fall on hard times. And my grandson, Tanique Turner, told me to tell you, Lois Snook, what's up?
Thank you, Ms. Gilmore. Karen Waters next.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good to see some of you that I haven't seen in such a long time. I'm Karen Waters. I live in Albemarle County, and I am the co-director of the Board of Directors of Cultivate Charlottesville. I'm here tonight to encourage you to support our Power to Grow campaign. And along those lines, we have 3 recommendations that we would like for you to approve. We would like for you to recommend dedicating land in Booker T. Washington Park for an urban agricultural collective farm. We would like for you to direct Parks and Recreation to prioritize a community design for this farm site in the upcoming Parks and Recreation strategic plan. And we would like for you to explicitly include food equity goals in the city's strategic plan in a way that aligns with the city's comprehensive plan, Chapter 7, Goal 4, and the Food Equity Initiative policy platform. This little item I have is a relic. It's the one of the old QCC newsletters. Back in 2007, the city was generous enough to partner with members of the community to start our urban farm that was located at Friendship Court and 6th Street and called the Garden of Goodness. It is now in the capable hands of Cultivate, and since then we started out, our first harvest was serving 41 families. We have since grown tons and tons of good food, good health, and good leadership. And we thank you for being willing partners in this work and for the commitment that the city has shown in terms of policies that support food security. So we ask that you will continue this work, continue to partner with us. We are very, very grateful that we have been able to set the tone in terms of sustainability in this city, that we are able to continue that work, and that we're able to continue to provide food for the families that need it the most. Healthy, organically grown, and also grown in community. So thank you for this time. We hope you'll let us garden in the park.
Thank you, Ms. Waters. Next is KJ Howard.
Hi, my name is KJ Howard. I'm the FJN Network Associate. I just wanted to come here to personally explain what it's like to be a person of youth working in the garden. I started gardening in 7th grade as an alternative to gym. So that continued into 8th grade, where my group of friends were able to actually implement change into the school system and make it a personal class for the garden aides, continuing up until now. And through that process, I was able to learn about gardening, what that means, how to grow your own food, gardening techniques on how to efficiently garden. But more importantly, I was taught I apologize, I'm a little bit nervous. I was taught the importance of having a garden and being able to have that object permanence of knowing that when you plant a seed that you can watch it grow, you can harvest it, you can use that food to feed your family and to make a community impact with other folks in your neighborhood. So I just find it very important for the youth that we do have this garden, because with that, there's so much that can be learned by the youth. There's so many different programs that they can participate in, and it opens a lot of doors that you wouldn't think would be opening by gardening. I feel like there's a lot of a stigma around gardening and what that pertains to. So being able to show people how to garden and where their food comes from the store, and how to actually use that food in a healthy way, and to use it as a bridge to meet other community members and get yourself involved in the community. And yes, so I guess I yield my time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next is Marcia Geyer. Is Marcia here, or is she online?
I'm online.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Geyer. 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, councilors. I'm Marcia Geyer, living at 420 Afton Pond Court. Reliability, ridership, frequency, and quality of service are all key operational factors for replacing and expanding Charlottesville's transit bus fleet. A fifth factor is that the climate crisis became horrifyingly worse this year worldwide. Science describes our Earth as being on the edge of multiple irrecoverable tipping points because of the cumulative greenhouse gas emissions. Earth's carbon dioxide concentration from burning fossil fuels is getting worse every year. Council's recent inclusion of a 45% reduction in Charlottesville's greenhouse gases by 2030 in the official comprehensive plan anchors your responsibility for the transit fleet's transition to an emissions-free fuel. We must keep in mind battery electric buses are the only realistic fuel choice that will create a significant emissions reduction for each new bus here in Charlottesville now and in the near future. Reliability is very important. Fear of poor reliability shouldn't lead councilors to reject battery electric buses. The federal government measures reliability for you. Grades from the FTC's rigorous Altoona stress test are freely available to CAT to compare among all federally subsidized transit buses of every fuel type. For example, the new battery electric bus from Gillig, CAT's longtime transit bus vendor, got very high Altoona stress test grades. Everyone understands that ridership is closely related to frequency of service. The fleet and its staff of drivers must throw whatever the fuel. So any change of fuel from diesel will require lots of planning and grant funding. Councilors, please join the various governmental bodies working to stabilize life on Earth for all of God's creatures by reducing fossil fuels and their deadly emissions in our transit system. And please give CAT all the help they ask for to make that transition. Thank you for your dedicated work.
Thank you, Ms. Geyer. Next, we have Michelle Gibson. Is Ms. Gibson here? Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am Michelle Gibson. I work with Cultivate as the Community Advocate Lead with the Food Justice Network. I'm also a resident in the 10th and Page community, where I've lived there with 5 generations in this home that I still live in, where we shared stories. We saw the landscape in our community change, and we have felt the impact of land loss and land use. During my lifetime, I have seen 4 to 5 grocery stores. within the city communities. One of those stores remain. While urban development continues and zoning plans change to increase density, population in the neighborhood surrounding the Booker T. Washington Park are getting greater. The neighborhoods surrounding this park have surveyed, and the data that's been collected confirms that the residents lack access to healthy food. Where our city falls short on grocery stores, it has land, green space in the Booker T. Washington Park for an urban agriculture community garden or farm. Council members, you're able to make history today, and I'm here to encourage a favorable decision for an urban community collective farm at the Booker T. Washington Park. City officials, with the authority as you, made a decision in 1964 that led to raising Vinegar Hill, land loss, and so much more. As you consider the recommendations presented, remember the ties that you have to the communities that you serve, and accept the data that's been collected that supports the residents, their needs and their wants concerning an urban agriculture collective farm at the Booker T. Washington Park. Cultivate Charlottesville welcomes the opportunity to join forces with the Parks and Recreation, collecting and enhancing the landscape at the Booker T. Washington Park and presenting programs that would benefit the community at large. Thank you in advance for your time and attention, and realize that your actions will impact future generations as they recall today's land loss, land use moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gibson. Next, Ana Mendez.
Good evening. My name is Ana Mendez, and I'm the Executive Director of The Haven, Charlottesville's largest homeless services provider. As I explained at Council's May 1st work session, The Haven's building is owned by Hollywood producer and UVA alum Tom Shadyac. Last month, Mr. Shadyac told us that he will transfer ownership of the property to The Haven if the city is willing to exempt The Haven from property tax. Currently, as a private owner, Mr. Shadyac is billed for the property tax and The Haven reimburses him. The Haven is in need of significant capital investments to meet the growing demand for our services, remediate HVAC issues, and address the property's propensity for flooding. We cannot conduct the capital campaign necessary to do these things or further consider overnight shelter at the Haven as requested by the city until we own the building. Local governments cannot invest in our infrastructure needs while the building is owned by a private individual. We recently lost out on capital improvement funds from Albemarle County as a result. The city assessor told me that rather than exempt additional nonprofits from property tax, the city uses the Vibrant Communities and HOPS funds to subsidize nonprofits. As respectfully as possible, I would like to point out that whether or not a nonprofit's property has already been tax exempt by the city is not a question on the application for city funding, nor is it considered in the scoring rubric used to determine level of funding. Additionally, comparing the list of city nonprofits who already enjoy property tax exemption to the list of nonprofits funded or not funded by the city shows no correlation. Because the city is not using property tax exemption as a consideration in its current funding formulary, and because the Haven's ability to raise funds for needed capital investments is predicated on our ownership of the building, we request that City Council adopt a resolution now committing to beginning the process of tax exemption within 90 days of the Haven providing written notice that we have received the deed. Providing Mr. Shadyac with a copy of this resolution will demonstrate the city's willingness to tax exempt the Haven and trigger his transfer of the deed to us. The revenue loss from tax exempting the Haven represents less than 0.022% of the city's annual budget. Let me repeat, less than 0.022% of their operating budget. Without the city's willingness to tax exempt the property, we will not be able to take ownership. Ownership must be transferred from Mr. Shadyac before the Haven can solicit private or public funds to invest in needed capital maintenance. That concludes my prepared remarks. I would also like to say that we should all be horrified about what happened in Market Street Park on Tuesday, and that Roscoe deserves to be back at the Haven. I briefed the PCOB 2 months ago that
Mendez, your
it
time
was
is up.
likely that that enforcing a curfew probably collides with the Martin B. Voisey ruling. If Professor Frampton and his con law students are listening, I hope that this is something that they would be interested in exploring further. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Katie Ebinger.
Hi, I'm Katie Ebinger. I live in Charlottesville, and I'm the Climate Justice Policy Manager at the Community Climate Collaborative, or C3. Good evening. Thanks, everyone, for your time tonight. I want to first acknowledge and highlight the remarkable efforts of our friends at Cultivate for their work on the Power to Grow campaign, which we heard about earlier this evening. C3 wholeheartedly supports the movement to add an urban agricultural collective farm site at Booker T. Washington Park. At C3, we firmly believe in a rapid transition away from fossil fuels. Climate change, while a global crisis, plays out locally, and it's often along socioeconomic and racial lines, which makes this an issue both of the environment but also of social justice. Top of mind for us today is the decision of how to power CAT. And we need to adopt zero-emission buses, as my T-shirt says, in bright colors. Okay, so this choice holds the promise of reducing pollution, which will have a profound impact on the lives of those who rely on public transportation and really all members of our community. Ensuring that CAT is reliable is also crucial. C3 conducted a study, which we'll be releasing later this week, and we concluded that reliability and zero-emission buses are not mutually exclusive, especially when you consider fast-charging electric bus scenarios. We've worked with wonderful partner organizations throughout creating that report and the subsequent campaign, and with them we have a petition that urges a transition to zero-emission buses. That petition has the support of over 20 organizations and coalitions, and when I last checked this morning, it had signatures from 427 community members. I wanted to take the rest of my time to read a couple of those comments that you could hear not only my voice, but also the voices of people in our community. First, Ava says that I fully support zero-emission buses in our community. Not only will they reduce our community's collective carbon footprint, but the reduction in localized emissions will have a very real impact on our respiratory health. Peter says, end climate change from the ground up. This is how it's done. Dale adds, it's the kind of thing that's not only the right thing to do, but it reflects positively on Charlottesville and our county for taking forward-thinking action. And finally, Elza says, my 19-year-old PVCC student takes the bus almost every day. The buses alone take trips every hour, and their air effects can be smelled for minutes after the bus passes. I support electric buses. So to check out our full petition and other comments like this, you can find it on our website, theclimatecollaborative.org, under the Transit Equity tab. And I just wanted to thank you all for your time tonight to hear our perspective, and we urge you to consider a transition, or to support a transition to zero-emission buses. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Ebinger. Okay, that's our first pre-registered list. We'll now go to the next 8. Let's see if there's anybody online who would like to speak to us.
Yes, Mayor Snook, we have Elizabeth Stark.
Ms. Stark, you have 3 minutes.
Hi. Hi, councilors and City Manager Sanders. My name is Elizabeth Stark, and I live in the city in the Woolen Mills neighborhood. And as you can hear, I'm a little sick, but I'm going to try to get through my comments. I'm calling in to vehemently oppose the implementation of the Flock surveillance camera program, and I appreciate those counselors who raised concerns about the community input on this program at the last meeting and the update from City Manager Sanders a moment ago. Our community has not agreed to this surveillance program, and there's very little evidence that mass surveillance of this kind does anything to meaningfully increase community safety. I'm deeply concerned that by using Flock cameras, Charlottesville will be contributing to a nationwide private surveillance program where the data collected would be held in a private company and used for any number of purposes beyond our community's input and control. Flock advertises itself as a nation/worldwide surveillance web. We do not need or want Flock cameras in our community, and we especially do not want these invasive cameras used to surveil and further police low-income and communities of color. I urge Council and City Manager Sanders to halt this process, hold a community hearing, and ultimately listen to the people of Charlottesville. We do not want mass surveillance, and we certainly don't want to pay increased policing costs that will come with these invasive devices. Finally, I want to speak in support of our unhoused neighbors and those that highlighted the recent deeply concerning incident in Market Street Park with the police response to unhoused community members. I hope you prioritize community care and resources to help and support our unhoused neighbors, not increase policing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stark. So next we'll go to somebody in person who would like to speak. Yes, ma'am. Tell us your name and where you live.
My name is Donna. I live on violently stolen Monacan land. In a city where white settler colonizer descendants disproportionately thrive in relation to everyone else who lives and works here, we are unsurprised that your police forces, who we know to be here to protect the interests of the wealthy elite and not for the safety of anyone else, as you all try to claim, we are unsurprised that your police forces are targeting our Black and unhoused neighbors for harassment, arrest, and violence. We are unsurprised that the same city that unjustly passed an ordinance to criminalize poor and houseless people from soliciting assistance on the downtown mall just 10 years ago, and that has done everything in its power to make houseless people as uncomfortable as possible downtown, like by removing benches and then reinstalling benches, which refuse comfort to folks who need a place to rest in full repose at night. We are unsurprised that this same city allows its brutal police forces to literally kick and arrest houseless folks sleeping in the park unchecked. We are unsurprised that this same city that stole land from Monacan people also stole homes and businesses from Black people descended of enslaved Africans who built Monticello, who built the university, who built the foundation of life that everyone but their descendants gets to freely enjoy every day without the same levels of scrutiny, surveillance, etc. We are further unsurprised that despite the legacy of the razing of Vinegar Hill and all the expressions of white guilt over the last few years, the homes of Black folks, whether they are their childhood homes in the 10th and Page neighborhood or tents at the park, we are unsurprised that the city continues to threaten those homes through gentrification and police harassment and violence. We are also unsurprised that a city that willingly wields such violence against residents would also consider increasing the levels of violence through increased surveillance by programs like Flock. With this history in mind, I cannot possibly trust this city's council to act with the urgency required to protect Black houseless folks at the park or anywhere else. Instead, I implore the rest of us to follow the lead of Miss Didi. Get to know and build relationships with our houseless neighbors. If they share needs with you that you are able to meet, do so as Miss Didi does. Start collecting tents, quilts, sleeping bags, wagons, and monetary donations. Start offering hospitality housing in your own homes. If you don't know what hospitality housing is, come see me. Check in on folks as you pass through downtown. Get trained in cop watch and other forms of bystander training so you can assist your neighbors when they are being harassed by the police. Support all resident-led initiatives to build deep affordable housing immediately. Oppose the proposed expansion of the regional jail. The people on this council and their police forces do not keep us safe. Only we can keep us safe.
Thank
As a
you.
side
Your
note,
time
I
is up.
fully support the Urban Agriculture Collective's proposal to remedy food insecurity of our most vulnerable populations through community gardens at our city parks, and the Fluvanna Historical Society will be building a Monacan dwelling at Rossawek, the site of the Monacan capital, which was returned to them. Get hooked into supporting that and other land back and reparations projects. Thank you.
Next, do we have someone else online?
Yes, Mayor Snook, we have Robin Hoffman.
Ms. Hoffman, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, and I solely have become mindful of Cultivate and the urban plight we are experiencing, and I only became aware of Venerable School being the KKK head of the KKK's name this week, and also I don't know where I've been, and then also open house finally by the way for CPA TV community Charlottesville Community Media Center is opening this Saturday. I hope that everybody gets on there as a program, and in my hope is also something that I came up with an idea while I was doing my TV shows. David and I, David Dillahunt, who's been holding, or who designed this whole studio and had Ralph Thomas supported, and finally the city. What I want to say is that I had painted on my sets with my guests that I interviewed, and we also did crafts. I'm going to auction them off in the hallway at the opening. It's going to be a bidding war, hopefully. Michelle Madison, who was the UVA muralist, because I did a mural for UVA. Anyway, she is already bidded for her piece, which is $55 starting for a membership. So this will be like a scholarship that I personally will somehow house somewhere, and then everybody can just freely cultivate. Actually today, Habitat for Humanity director said she's going to come on board, and Michael Payne, please mentor her. And Jeff Vogel portrait is going to be for sale. Susan Bro's statue is going to be for sale. And all these things are going to be auctioned in the hallway 12 to 4 p.m. this Saturday. And some of them are going to be, because Michelle can't be, they're going to be a bidding war like on Zoom. And so what I want to say is these are, for me, a way to connect the community finally. That it's going to be like Facebook, I hope, for community. Charlottesville public access can be streamed on your phone, and you can watch and see who's scheduled, and that everybody should get on board, and then we'll be able to connect the dots, hopefully, know what's going on, how Food Not Bombs and this and that are changing, and zoning or whatever. Every single person can be a program, and I hope to collect like $500, which is like what, a lot of memberships. So, but anyway, feel free to talk to David Dillahunt and whoever is now at the studio on York Place, 9 to 5 every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hoffman. So next person here in person? Yes, sir, in the back.
Oh, I was right here.
Should you go? I can go after her. That's cool.
Okay.
Did you want to go?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Awesome, thank you. I'm Ange Khan. I'm the Director of Housing Programs at the Haven, but I'm speaking in my individual capacity. I had something planned before coming in the City Hall doors just a few minutes ago, but I had to stop because, first of all, did you all walk through the doors this evening to get into this diocese? Did you walk in the front door?
I did not.
Did anybody walk through the front door? Could you raise your hand if you did? Okay, so I would like you all when you take your intermission to go outside. Currently, there is a gentle person outside on oxygen who is experiencing homelessness. Okay? If you all step foot outside the front door of where you all should be walking in instead of creeping through these doors that you come in, you could clearly see the unhoused, most vulnerable people in our community awaiting support. It is up to you all to make the decision whether or not you are going to fund Flock, whether you are going to continuously fund the police, whether you are going to continuously agree, because you are agreeing to what's taking place in the park with our most vulnerable population, with our most vulnerable people. You are complicit. Every time you sit up here and hear reports of violence against unhoused people, you are complicit. So at this moment, if you all could stop this meeting, go outside and address the gentleman out there.
We will not.
Okay, well, I would like someone from your city council to address the gentleman and their partner who is currently outside on oxygen, plugged up to the electricity of this building, where you all are sitting comfortably. They do not. They do not care. If you cared, you would do something other than funding violent institutions, even though you all are part of that system. Every day in the park, there are people being harassed by the police because they do not have a place to go. There is not affordable housing here. Our housing is very high barrier, extremely high barrier. You all need to do something other than harass them. Now, if you all go out there, I'm going to go out there and get the person's name. I expect you all to respond to his needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Next, somebody online.
Yes, Mayor Snook, we have Zayana Bryant.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes, good afternoon. I'm here to speak on a couple of things. One being the support for the Cultivate Charlottesville proposal. I think it's a great idea. I think that there are so many opportunities there to have urban agriculture prioritized in the city, and particularly in that space, a space that has, historically been a Black park, and a space that is so in such close proximity to Black neighborhoods and low-income areas where people could really benefit from having fresh produce, having a space where they have agency over that produce and the growing process. And I really feel like it could be an amazing conversation and event space as well. So I think that there are so many opportunities there. I've seen some of the kind of ideas of what the space could look like, and I really support that. So I hope that all the councilors are on board with that as well. Additionally, I want to speak on the homelessness problem that we have in the city. It's a real issue, and I'm kind of disappointed with the ways in which some of our councilors do not engage with the problem at all. They don't care to speak to some of the unhoused folks on the downtown mall and in the various parks. We have local content creators and people who would like to think of themselves as influencers who say that this problem is creating violence and is, a reason why they don't enjoy their time on the downtown mall, when it's so much deeper than that, and it is the responsibility of our local elected officials to address it. So I really hope that you pay attention to it and that you speak up about it, and that you make some policies that address economic equity and that address some of the issues that we're having in this city on a systemic level. And lastly, I want to talk about my concern around this camera system. I think that it is so concerning, knowing the history that we have in Charlottesville, knowing the climate that we're living in on a national and global scale. I don't even think there's much to be said about it. You know that it's a problem, and I don't know who the stakeholders who were engaged about it. I don't know who they are. They're not named anywhere, but I just hope that you guys take a second look, listen to the voices of the Black and brown folks who are speaking up about it, and think again, and just say no. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. Ms. Davenport.
Good afternoon. What I'm going to talk about is dollars that don't make sense. The Albemarle County Regional Jail is slated to put up $73 million. This was 2 years ago, so we're talking about $100 million. Now, I know you're going to say the money that's coming down from the state can't be used, but we're not talking about the $11 million reimbursement. We're talking about the other money that is going to be coming down. For folks who don't know, the Albemarle County Regional Jail is about to do some remodeling, which we don't understand why, because there is a space that was built in 2010 that is not housed. And they're not housed because they don't have the staff to house. So we're going to put $100 million into a building that is not going to be able to house people because they don't have staff to do it. So folks, please, ask those hard questions. Secondly, $100 million. This is what $100 million can do. It can buy health care for mental health services for 27 years. It can provide affordable housing for low-income and unhoused folks for 27 years. It can do drug treatment for 27 years. It can invest into Black and brown business for 27 years. It can invest in school and education. But no, we want to create a space for mental health folks' rooms in the jail, which is asinine. Another thing, luck. I have a UA student who can do a presentation to City Council to see what FLOC really is. Just let me know, and I'll give y'all an opportunity to see that. I'm gonna succeed my time to Miss Gloria Beard.
Well, y'all know me, so I don't have to introduce myself. But I've been here before with the same thing. We have tried the guns and badges, and we know you can't get well in a cage. And you know, houses for the mental ill, all the places they had for mental ill people have closed down. Western State wasn't taking anybody, new. And we got to think about this, people. It could be your family, it could be mine, it might be even me. I don't want to be in a jail cell. That will make me worse. So y'all need to please think about what we are saying. We care. We really care about people. I definitely care. I've worked with people all my life. And nobody should be homeless or anything else. I'll tell you a little quick story. I took a young lady to the Salvation Army recently, and she has a child. They said she could only stay 2 nights. They couldn't house her. And I'm aware that they are renovating, but they had this young lady in a room with a lock on the door. She could have stayed there longer. You know what I did? I took her to my house. Because I'm not seeing a mother with a child out in the street. And y'all need to check on this because we need more shelters for people.
Thank you, Ms. Beard.
All right, y'all, well, make sure you think about it and pray about it. Because God, like I said before, God don't like ugly.
Do we have another person online?
Mayor Snook, I see no raised hands.
All right. Who's next here in person?
I'm on the waiting list.
Well, I'm happy to have you come up, Ms. Parker. That being on the waiting list doesn't automatically make you part of the next 8, but that's fine.
Good evening, City Council.
Good
My name is
evening.
Rosia Parker, Charlottesville. I am coming to you on 2 situations. I came to Charlottesville 18 and a half years ago, homeless, 5 years, sleeping in a car with 3 children. Do you know what that is like? To come to Charlottesville that is not equipped with resources to provide a family. The first thing they chose to do is to take my children and lose the paperwork. If I never had copies of the paperwork, I would have never got my children back. Black children were being adopted in a year's time. So do you know what it's like being homeless, houseless, mental ill, physical, emotionally, spiritually, decrepitated, dehumanized? Do you know what any of that feel like? Because one day, any day, declare and decree, it could be you. Why y'all sit up there and look at us like things don't matter? Because you haven't walked in our shoes. But put your shoes on and put them on tight and tie them up. Because this game is no longer a game. No more business as usual. It's about that time, and time is real. So therefore, I'm going to the land of liberation. In the land of liberation, Booker T. Washington Park was a plantation. So now it's time for us, black and brown community, as well as a community advocate, and I'm standing up for Cultivate Charlottesville. I'm speaking on both. It's time for us to reclaim our land. So, since y'all never listened to me, because I'm an activist, and you said boards and commissions, I applied for so many, and because activists cannot get on, so I'm still an activist, and I'm still standing, and I'm still going to represent my black and brown communities. So I'm going to give you some stories from my community. Everything that we had to do in the black community, it was done at Washington Park. Child care, gardening, basketball, cookouts, community engagements. Charlottesville's Washington Park was life for black community. It was their everything. They didn't have nowhere to go. They knew they could go to Washington Park. Washington Park was a dump. It still seems that way today, because that's how you still seem to treat black and brown people. We need that land of liberation. We need that for people to come together as a community, work hard, grow, let the seeds grow, and multiply. It's time for us to have things like IRC. And I also, while I was surveying 300 and some odd surveys and roundtables, I had a gentleman from the Planning Commission that told me there's $30,000 that could be allotted if I did a proposal that is money for land of opportunity. So please give us that chance of that land of opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Parker.
I also have a picture where I took time with UVA and designed the park myself. So would y'all like to see that? That's free time, not money. That's about my people.
Okay, we have one more speaker. Sir?
Hello, my name is Darrell Jones. I live at Greenstone on 5th. I'm a resident of Charlottesville for 61 years. I agree with everything with the homeless that's going on, and it's just crazy how it's going on. But I want to bring an issue about the gun violence and stuff like it. It seems like it's died down. It seems like y'all waiting for another big shooting to come, and then it's going to be a big, a big fuss about it. But my thing is, what are you doing about it to prevent this stuff from happening again? 3 days ago, I witnessed 6 guys, young boys under the age of 15, running through my neighborhood, get ready to shoot some other children, and then they come back with guns and stuff like that. So I noticed we vote for y'all and put y'all on positions like this. So what I think it needs to be is politicians, I really don't understand, because when you get on, you say a lot of stuff to get our votes and get in a position like this. But why politicians get in here and beg, because this ain't what I want, I'm not going to, vote for it. This is not what I want, you're not going to vote for it. You're not looking, I think as a politician, you should look for a whole, look out for everybody. Like they said, the homeless situation there in the park, I hope y'all do when you leave here, go down there and look what's going on at the park. It was one man down at the transit station, now there's 3 or 4 people living at the transit station. So I don't look at it just as a black issue that y'all not looking out for the brown people and us. It's more of the rich people. Now all of these people want to come to the Lily White Charlottesville, and y'all thinking about the people with the money. And it's not just black, it's poor white trash that's getting impeded. If you ain't from UVA or you ain't got a good job. All of these foreigners come in here getting breaks and stuff like that. Represent everybody. If you say you sitting here to be a politician, don't get mad and you pick, I don't know why they got Republicans and Democrats. It should be representing everybody. So you see what's going on there. But you need to, I always say, y'all wait till something happens and then gonna fuss about it. Where's the big outrage about the gun violence now? You're going to have another big shooting, and then it's going to be all of this hoopla about what we've done. You should put events in place to prevent this. Look at the disproportion of black youth. These kids running around here don't have nothing to look forward to. And y'all are politicians. You should just don't look for, because it's not in your neighborhood, your little white neighborhood, as you don't care. The people walk past these people down at the park and look at them like they pray. People got mental illness. It's not just everybody bad. Everybody have an issue that they out there. And y'all need to do something about that. And just not letting, and then you talk about Vinegar Hill, it's a whole lot of hills been stolen. Not Vinegar Hill, Gospel Hill. Like UVA stole Gospel Hill and stuff like that. So a lot of people, you can go to Carter D. Woodson at UVA and educate yourself on how they stole and how they dug the projects out that hill. Now they don't want it to be there and set the projects down there. How they put all of the projects in far away places off the place. Now they want to get First Street and all of that right there. That's why they put them apartments in their back. So they're trying to get that whole quarter going through that First Street in Gerd Square and stuff like that. So I hope y'all be mindful of representing the whole city or just to the people that's supporting you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. We don't have anything else on the agenda that we have to do. You want us to let people go ahead and keep going?
Yes. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay, next, over here, ma'am. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Tell us your name, please, and where you live.
Hi. My name is Tasia Quartz, and I'm from Connecticut, but I live in the Grand Mark building over at the corner. So I'm a fourth-year student at the University of Virginia, and I wanted to just demonstrate my support for a number of the issues being brought up tonight by community members. Firstly, I am deeply, deeply disappointed, but not surprised by the activities of the Charlottesville Police Department for the harassment of houseless or street-based people, and you, council members, for your complicity. Currently, Roscoe Boxley is in ACRJ for sleeping in the park with a tent, and Kemarcus Murray was kicked by an officer while sleeping, as Ms. Deidre noted. This disgusting treatment and, frankly, abuse from the city is honestly quite ironic, given the fact that Charlottesville and the University of Virginia, to be more specific, have manufactured and perpetuated a housing crisis in this city. Historically, Charlottesville residents have lost their property and businesses as a result of this greedy gentrification and these expansion projects. Similarly, I'd like to speak to the flock safety proposal, or the concept, as you called it, Mr. Sanders. Increased surveillance has never and will never correlate with a decrease in gun violence or any type of crime for that matter. Instead, this increase in surveillance will just be used as a mechanism for the continued over-criminalization of Black, brown, and poor folks in Charlottesville. Finally, I'd like to show my support for the Cultivate Charlottesville's Power to Grow campaign, which aims to convert Booker T. Washington Park to an urban agriculture center. While y'all seem to be so focused on expanding the jail and in turn expanding the incarcerated population, initiatives like the Power to Grow campaign are how we deter populations from incarceration. How about you support initiatives that provide food and housing to Charlottesville residents instead of funneling more money and community members into the local jail? Thank you. I yield the rest of my time. Fund housing, not the prison. Thank you.
Does anybody over on this side of things like to speak to us? Okay. Who else we got? Does anybody else would like to speak? This is Community Matters time. Yes, ma'am. And the kid back there wants to speak to us also.
She wants to speak after her.
So who's first?
There you go.
Hi.
Why don't you pull the microphone down so there you go.
Hi. My name is S. Pitt Ali. I'm not from here. My patient came here for medical reasons, and he was getting treated and in the process of being treated. He had to, he was seeking for housing and was seeking for housing and, and had trouble getting housing. There's a number of things I have seen coming here to the city. It's so bad till I never want to step foot in this city ever again. It's abomination to God, the things that I have seen. And it's so troubling. I said, when you see the kind of things I've seen, I know that God is angry. He has blessed all of you in the positions that you have and trusted you to be over these people, and you have let them down. Because the number of homelessness that is out here has angered God. And because of that, when you all came to work and seen what y'all seen and you seen that flood, that wasn't just a flood, it was an act of God's anger and wrath. That should have troubled you, to see all the stuff that you seen. Y'all thought it was just something from rain, it was something from God's anger. That ought to trouble you then. It shouldn't take deaths and disasters and hurricanes before you take it serious. The homelessness, the shooting, the people laying on ground and y'all walk past their bodies as though it don't happen, as though it's nothing, and you wait for it to be you. But I got one thing to say. Hurricane season ends in November, but it could be you. One flick of God's finger, one moment of his wrath, it could be you. So you can't sit up and act like it can't be you. So you got to turn around and look at when God mean what he say when he says, when I was hungry, you gave me meat. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink. When I was a stranger, you took me in. And if you sit up high on your pedestal and you keep overlooking and closing your eyes, you angering God. And one flick of his finger, you will be right where those people are. And I'm telling you right now, when God get tired, you're going to know it. The beginning was the bricks, and the beginning was the water flow from running from this place. Next time, y'all ain't going to be able to repair it. He's tired. He's tired. Stop acting as though people don't matter. Stop waiting for it to be your family for it to matter. When it was COVID, everybody was singing Kumbaya. But when your family and everything going good in your home, you don't care about the next home. Everyone should care about each other. And stop being narcissistic and not caring about your brother. The greatest commandment is love your neighbor as yourself. How come you just only love your neighbor as yourself when it's your household? You love
Thank you, ma'am.
everybody.
Your time is up.
That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Someone else like to go next?
She does. This young lady, tell me what your name is.
My name is Samani.
Tell them how old you are.
I'm 6 years old.
Where do you live?
I live at
Hardy Drive. Hardy Drive.
Hardy Drive.
What happened to your family in Hardy Drive?
My brother's window got shot in the glass and the paper and the thing when you close it, and it's got ripped by half, and it was the big hole, and my brother then it's got glass everywhere in my brother's room.
And what happened to your front door?
Our front door got something, it looked like things that did.
Are you scared to go home? Are you scared to stay at your house?
No.
Are you scared of the people that live where you live at?
No, but I don't like no music.
And do the people disturb your peace from sleeping?
Yeah.
And is your safety in jeopardy where you live at?
Yes.
And that's from a child. And her house was shot up just recently. and housing is not doing anything about it. The first thing they told us today that they would be able to move because of an emergency. Then they told them that the last thing at 5 o'clock, they told them they couldn't move them because this has happened before, and because that has happened before, there's nothing that they can do for them. And their house was shot completely up.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to us? Can you tell us your name, please?
Yes, my name is Kadi. I'm a 4th year at the University of Virginia. Good evening, Council. I'm going to be echoing a lot of the things that have been said today, but I think y'all can hear it a second time, a third time, a fourth time, until it rings true and inspires some action, because y'all have a lot of power up there on the dais. Even if these issues feel or sound a lot deeper than your votes. But it's your responsibility to take any action possible. I'm from out of state, and I experienced a lot of culture shock when I first came to Charlottesville. Charlottesville wears its history on the outside very visibly. The descendants of the people who built the university I go to don't have housing. Students can't walk to the downtown mall, to the corner, without seeing people suffering on the streets. And I think that visibility is important because it means that we won't stand for it either. There's a lot of residents here, but the students have, I think, a lot more power than they believe at times. But look at all these students here, behind me, here, and we're going to keep showing up if you guys don't take action. I know I've seen Mayor Snook on his phone. I've seen folks roll their eyes as people talk about these issues. But to not experience the violence that people are talking about, you can sit through this a million more times. You can stay here many more hours. You've been told by experts and community members for years that you don't have enough affordable housing, and these are the consequences. These people are trying to survive. They're not dangerous. You've made them criminals by funding the police and these prisons, by locking people up for finding a place to sleep. They need health care, food, a bed, things that all human beings deserve. To criminalize them for trying to survive instead of changing the systems that put their lives on the line is reprehensible. It should make you uncomfortable. It should make all of us uncomfortable. You've failed them. You've pushed them off the downtown mall, as Donna mentioned, with your policies, and they've found shelter in parks, like Market Street, where Roscoe Boxley was targeted and arrested a few days ago, and later Key Marcus Murray was assaulted. Putting more money towards the police is a waste of time as well as a violence to your neighbors. My friend Harold shared a lot about the prison, so putting more money, putting $100 million towards the prison, you will go down in history as foolish council members. And we'll all make sure of that, so thank you for listening.
Thank you for your time. Is there anyone else who has not yet spoken? Yeah, come on.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Luis Oyola. I live in Fluvanna County, which is on stolen Monacan land. I'm Director of Organizing at Legal Aid Justice Center. However, I am speaking here on my own accord. I would just like to know on the Legal Aid Justice Center front, though, that speaking to the flock safety program, it has been my experience working with our housing organizers in Richmond, where where license plate readers have been installed predominantly in Black, low-income and public housing neighborhoods, that the cameras are there, people are getting watched, and then people are reporting things to the police. The police are coming to them saying, well, the police are coming to ask them and talk to them about what happened, and then people are saying, didn't you catch it on the camera? And all they're getting is shrugs. So you're putting all this money into things that surveil people and invades their privacy, and it's not actually doing what you think it's doing. Going back to the harassment of houseless folks in our community, particularly in Market Street Park, you are pouring in $100 million into the jail for a renovation that is completely unnecessary. And like Harold pointed out earlier, that is money that can house every single person that is out there right now. You're willing to pour in that money into a jail, but you're not willing to pour money into actually getting people off the streets. I would like to remind you of a couple of things. Number one is that the Supreme Court set a precedent in Martin v. Boise that people can't be arrested for sleeping in public areas if there are no shelter beds available, if there's nowhere for them to go. That is Supreme Court precedent, and there are currently not enough shelter beds in Charlottesville for people to go to. The second thing I would like to remind you of is that we are coming here politely. We are coming here to ask. The people who are suffering out here in the streets are coming here politely to ask. Don't wait for people to stop getting polite. Like, don't wait for people to start getting angry. You know what you've seen, what people do when we get angry, and you know, I mean, to quote Hulk, you don't want to see that. like, I'm just being very real. Like, don't wait for people to get desperate, because it's gonna come to you, and we're coming to you like willing to talk, knowing that you have the resources, willing to work with those resources and actually put them to good use, but you're not listening. So you're just waiting for the fire to keep growing. That's all.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who has not spoken who would like to speak? Going once? Okay.
Hi there, Councilman. My name is Leo Leon. I am a resident of Albemarle County, but I was born and raised in Charlottesville all my life. I currently work here, and I'm currently representing myself. I wasn't planning on speaking at all today, just being the audience support, but I just feel really moved from hearing community's concerns about how we treat our people in the homeless community, and I just want to really emphasize the point that they are the Charlottesville community. They are our communities, but most importantly, they are human beings. And that should be the only adjective that should make you all care about their wellness and well-being. They are human beings. And I feel like I need to say that if hearing that, just that itself, that these people, human beings, are in the community suffering, if that doesn't make your heart hurt, if that doesn't make you feel any sort of emotion at all, like feel a need to do something, you really need to reevaluate your values and what you stand for as councilmen and councilwomen, because they are our community, they are our people, they are Charlottesville. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, going once, going twice.
No, but we will be back.
Okay. So we will close the Community Matters section. Thank you all for coming. There are no action items on the agenda today. Other business items for consideration, we were going to talk about what our procedures are going to be to move forward with the zoning ordinance. So let's give folks a second to clear out. It looks like most people are leaving.
But then the hard part, what do you do?
What?
The hard part was, what are all the policies, what do you do?
Yeah.
You know, just like I said, you may take a vote to do something today, but you've got to go through the process before. And we've been talking about what to do.
Okay. So,
Could I ask a question?
yeah.
Sort of apropos to, and if the answer is we need to discuss this later, that's fine. I do think what the folks from the Haven brought up in terms of there's some time-boundedness to their, to the point that they raised earlier. I wonder if we could ask the city manager to follow up, or if there's some sort of action we should take based off that information tonight. I mean, yeah, it's mostly new news to me. I didn't, yeah.
It's news to me.
I would agree with that, and I think, I don't know on what kind of timeline it would need to happen on. I don't know if it's the correct avenue, and we've kind of brought it up before, but I think it's clear whether it be a work session or something more strategic in terms of what is our actual approach to homelessness and figuring out, because it's...
I think the specific question was about...
I know, but I'm saying
Okay.
it's not an immediate timeline like that, but I think that conversation at some point has to happen just because of the number of stakeholders and figuring out, like, what's our level of investment we need to do. But we can put that on.
Michael, is it, though, with respect to the specific issue that was raised tonight?
On the tax exemption.
On the tax exemption.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that, and I know that's the
so
shorter term.
how do we, I mean, do we ask for like feedback from staff later this week and an action maybe by the 2 weeks from now, or?
Let me offer, I would offer that. I can get you the information that you need in regards to the tax exemption. There's multiple situations in regards to that. There was information shared tonight that I had not heard before. I did speak with the Commissioner of Revenue specifically about the tax exemption. As it was framed in the statement tonight, he indicated that there's some standing in the past that council took action to discontinue extending tax exemptions in exchange for enhancing community investment. So the grant dollars that you all are putting out was intended to offset the consideration of further exemptions of taxes. If that's something that you all want to revisit, then that is probably something that you can talk about. But let me get a little more detail on exactly what that information is, and if there is anything new. As I said, I heard a couple things new tonight that I had not heard that I can follow up on and bring that information back to you in a briefing of some kind.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I certainly am a big believer in being as consistent as possible, but at the same time, I don't want us to, whatever the phrase is, I don't want us to miss out on the opportunity. You know, I don't want, we have an opportunity here, and I don't want us to miss the opportunity because of some precedent that we've set in the past. It's probably noble and good, but we have the Haven, and I feel like we needed to take care of it, so.
Yeah.
So I would suggest that we ask our city manager to do the appropriate investigations, and we have weekly 221s, and once he gets the information, he can bring it back to us in our 221s, and we can make a decision as how we are going to proceed. Because even with the necessary investigations, I believe Ms. Mendez said something about 90 days. I don't even know if you would be able to meet that 90-day threshold. There may be some things that we would need to do from a legal standpoint so that that doesn't come back in a negative way. So I think we need to give our city manager the leeway to do the necessary investigations, bring it back once he is finished, and have the discussion with us in our 221.
Well, no, I would say I should be able to get you the update this week in regards to what I know has been the conversation about the tax exemption. If there is action, then of course we can work to put that on the next agenda. I will put a placeholder on the agenda tomorrow, as we meet tomorrow, to talk about the next agenda, and then if we needed to move it, then I'd have the ability to do that.
I would also like to know, Ms. Mendez had mentioned something about how there are other groups that are getting tax exemptions, maybe they have always had them and had them for a long time or
Right.
something.
That's the
I'd
new
like to know the
information that I
parameters
heard.
there as
Yeah,
well.
that was the new information that I heard.
Because I had thought that we had flat out discontinued those exemptions.
As did I.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about moving forward with the zoning issues. Vice Mayor Wade had thrown out the number of perhaps as many as 6 meetings, causing everybody to go, ah!
Yeah.
But I think we definitely need to think that we're going to schedule at least a few more meetings. And we had suggested that folks come with their calendars ready to tell us what are good days and what are bad days. And I don't know whether Mr. Freeze, Mr. Sanders, whether you all have some
Yes.
choices that are optimal for you guys that we ought to be trying to look to, or how should we organize this effort?
Sure. So following the various conversations, I am proposing that we schedule 6 work sessions, whether you need them or not.
Right.
Let's just go ahead and get them on the calendar, and that way we can make the preparations that we need to make in regards to having those on the calendar. And as we work through your various topics, you may not ultimately need all 6.
Right.
That's the idea, with the first work session being either the 26th, 27th, or 28th of this month. So taking one meeting this month, and then a meeting every week through the month of October, ending with one meeting the first week in November, looking at the first and second as the options. The question to begin with on picking that is there a day of the week that you all would prefer, a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday option? In picking one of those days, then we could do that for the next 6 weeks if that matters. Or if you needed to go one by one, we can do that. Ideally, the desire was to get the 6 items scheduled, and then James will talk to you about the thematic topics of which we can begin with, and then give you room to make any further discussion, any decisions on additional topics.
Yeah, so I think that those 3 dates, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, will likely be the dates that we choose, but it may not be the same for each week, and I just said we start with next week? Yeah.
Start with the week of the 26th, so that's
Yeah.
the question.
Well,
If you want to go
on the
each
26th
one.
is a planning commission work session at 5 o'clock, so I suspect Mr. Freeze will be busy that evening.
I appreciate not being double booked.
So the 20,
The 27th or the 28th would be fine.
Give me
as far
2
as-
seconds here. Let's see.
The 28th, we have a regional transit partnership meeting, ends at 6.
I think we could
So-
probably skip that if we had to.
The
We won't tell
27th is
Dan.
preferable
That's right.
for me.
But, you know, we could start our meeting at 6:30 or 7 or something
so
like that.
I am available the 27th or the 28th.
I'm available on the 27th that evening, whatever time you pick.
27th work for everybody?
Give me 2 seconds here. I'm pulling up
He's
my
bringing up his.
Yeah.
third phone. Yeah.
27th works for me.
Choir director may see me in January.
Oh, you sing? When did that happen?
I'm sorry, what day?
It looks like the 27th.
Wednesday, the
The
27th.
27th works. Are we talking the evening, the afternoon?
Yes,
don't know.
evening, I'm thinking.
That's what I'm thinking.
Does that work for
Does that
staff
work?
folks?
So say 5 o'clock?
27th, 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Here?
We'll confirm it. I would imagine city space to just give you the room to
Yeah.
flex out.
How about the following week?
2 seconds.
Yeah.
Would Wednesday, the 4th work?
Not for me.
About Thursday, the 5th?
No. I can make that Thursday evening, but not that Wednesday.
I can't do Thursday.
About Tuesday, the 3rd?
Yes.
I can
Yes.
do Tuesday.
Are you on?
Yes.
Okay, Tuesday, the 3rd is an option.
What time, 6?
We're just doing like
5:30?
5 to 9, something like that, or
Well, let's think 6,
6
Okay.
to?
I would think.
Okay, so wait a minute. You said 5 on the 27th. Do you want that to be 6?
I say 5 or 4 even. I mean, yeah.
Well, he
whatever.
may be in court.
See,
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if 6 is it, then we'll do 6.
I mean, if we're going to do what, the 27th, My last commitment ends at 3:30, so.
Okay, so the 27th is at 5. We're now on October 3rd, 6 o'clock.
Sounds like it.
I can do that. Yeah. Okay, then the following week, the 10th is the planning commission, so we gotta skip that. But the 11th or the 12th, either one would work for me.
We had VML that week.
Excuse me?
VML is the 9th, 8th, 9th, 10th.
Yeah, we're leaving Tuesday, those who are going to that. But I could do it later that night. I suspect it'll be a long day, but I could do it Tuesday night, but I'm available the
Tuesday
11th.
is- The 10th is planning commission.
Right, we can't do the 10th.
Okay. The 11th.
We could, Mr. Freeze couldn't.
The 11th?
Sure.
Sure, what time?
I could do as early as 4 or 5, but you know.
I could.
I'm free anytime.
We have that, I have
We
a.
wanna make that
I
a
have a
little bit early.
committee meeting for one of the committees that I'm on for council, and it will end at 5:30.
So let's say 6 o'clock.
Okay.
About the following week, we've got council on the 16th.
I will be away the week of the 16th, so if you all meet, I will not be at that meeting.
Yeah, you're planning for a while, so did we, and we may have some cases like that where, some people just want to be in town.
Yeah,
I think that.
James, when are you expecting or hoping for the planning commission to have acted?
We're hoping that the planning commission will have acted by the 10th.
Okay. So maybe having a week off, sort of take stock, might not be a bad idea.
Is that okay, Sam?
If that's your call, if you want to take it off, that's fine.
So looking at the the week of the 23rd.
23rd, 24th, 25th.
I already had city council special meeting on the 24th. I don't know if that's.
Really? I don't.
Yeah,
That's some-
Sam, I believe that was a date that you had reserved previously.
It may have been, yeah. You
Okay,
can remove
so
that.
that's-
I may be in a trial on the 23rd and 24th in Nelson County, so.
So I can do the 25th, did
The
you?
25th and 26th, they're both good for me.
Okay, what time?
Both, the 26th, we've got the Regional Transit Partnership again, that ends at 6, but we could
Well, you could
be
go
here
to
by
the
6:05.
Go to the 25th.
Or we
How's
could just
that?
leave at 5:55 and tell them,
What about the 25th?
25th's fine.
Is that working for you, Michael?
Yes.
Why are you so quiet? Speak up.
25th, 6 p.m.-ish.
Okay.
We'll nail down the dates. And then the following week, see, that gives us 4 meetings.
Oh, Lord.
The following week, you would have the 1st or the 2nd, because I don't think you want to.
No, we don't want to do Halloween.
I didn't think so.
But we could dress up.
Please don't.
And someone could bring special treats on Halloween.
So we're skipping the week of the 30th, is that what I'm hearing?
No,
No,
we're
we're
No, it's that
not.
week, just skipping the
Just skipping the
31st.
Okay, so we're gonna do the
I'm out of
first?
town that,
November 1st
Wait
or
a minute,
November.
you said something. Hold on, what'd you say, Brian?
I'm out of town Monday and Tuesday, but I can be here Wednesday evening.
Okay,
Okay.
Wednesday the 1st.
November 1st.
We still expect treats for Halloween. 6 o'clock-ish again?
Sure.
Okay, here we go.
And then one more meeting the following week.
If you,
The question is, are we missing something by front-loading this so much?
no, I think at this moment, let's just go
The
with these
1st at
5.
6.
Let's just go with these 5, and we can play it by ear as you move through the
That's
first
fine.
couple meetings. And then if there's a need, then we may have to come back and look again.
Okay.
So,
I'm just trying to also be conscious of the idea that you may have to re-advertise, so we want to concern ourselves with that window as well.
Okay, so the
That's
week
fine.
of
That's like a-
November 6th, nothing is happening.
so.
Yet.
I know,
Yes.
right. Well, you have an election that
Yep.
day.
Yep.
Should we meet on election day? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, the 6th, we have we have our regular meeting anyway.
Yes, we did on.
So
on
you
the
could
pri-
you
on
could
the-
stop with 5 if you want to do that. Let's just go with the 5, since we have
Don't you
those.
think we should, don't just put it there, and if we don't need it, we don't
That's fine.
need it?
It's your
Because I
call.
fear that if you need it, everybody's gonna be booked,
All right.
and you don't have a chance.
Shall we
So-
say? Yes, sir.
Yes.
Fire away.
Thank you. I'm just saying on November the 1st, the meeting starts at 6. I may be 15 or 20 minutes late.
Okay.
Okay.
Would you rather say 6:30?
I think that it's tentative enough that it may not take place. I just,
Okay.
You
but
just
y'all
want
can-
us to be aware.
Y'all can go ahead and
Okay.
proceed. I just,
All right.
Okay, so now that brings us either to the, well, wait a minute. I have city council work session on the 9th of November.
That's
so-
the one that I held in advance of us
So we
getting
don't
here.
need to, it's already on my
So
calendar.
we could stick
we
with
can
that
just
one if
stick-
you want
yes.
to leave that.
Okay,
Yes.
November 9th. That gives us 6 meetings.
Okay, are we
And-
good?
And we'll set that one for 6 PM as well.
Okay.
Okay, 6 o'clock. I just need to move it.
Okay. And we'll get all this done. I'll make sure that Ms. Thomas is aware of everything that we're talking about, because she'll have to advertise everything.
And have we left sufficient time for her to advertise?
I think we're fine. We'll make it work.
Okay.
We don't want our city attorney to have to be concerned about us not
He's
doing
not saying anything,
notification.
therefore I accept that as we're okay.
Okay,
Silence signifies consent, as the saying goes.
he's consenting, okay. And it's
I
not
learned
even
that from Man for All Seasons.
That wasn't UVA law?
I don't know what that is.
The Oscar-winning movie.
He's not. You know he was born in 1999.
Sir
Come on,
Thomas
get
More.
over it.
Okay.
2008.
What,
I think
Mr.
that-
Freeze, do you have something you need to say?
Sounds like,
I think we're good.
all good? All right.
Okay.
We'll get the schedule, we'll
You good?
confirm the schedule, and then we will have a recommended course of action for going forward,
Great.
topic-wise.
Thank you.
So what you will do is take the topics you already have and we'll do whichever one.
Try to put them in themed categories and see
Okay.
that you all can say that, yes, what I want to talk about can fit into that moment, and then we'll let the conversation go where it goes.
Okay.
But he will have, the approach is to use questions.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to coalesce into some broader kind of background conversations, then allow you guys to move into specifics.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you prioritizing them? Are there any that are more important than others?
I think I've gotten the priorities from what I've received from y'all.
Okay.
So we're gonna, when we present it back to you, so I would, well, I can't say this week, but I
Next
guess we
week.
can,
Yeah,
maybe
we
this
can.
week.
Maybe.
We'll get it to you this week.
I think we have to
Great.
say it this week.
Yeah, we can't, that's true. Okay, yeah, we'll get it out to you this week, and then the question that we will pose to you is, does this cover the first few topics that you all want to discuss?
Okay.
And I did just briefly wanted to say, I mean, just with the level of public comment, to say that for anyone still watching, I know as part of our budget process this year, homelessness is going to be part of the conversation. It's part of the strategic plan. It's something we really are focused on, and there's a number of conversations around creating a year-round permanent shelter. How do you build more permanent supportive housing? What are the dollar amounts needed to be there? How do we make that happen? But I don't know all the answers. And if there's anyone in the community that has additional ideas for money we need to spend or policies we need to change, I think we're all open to it. The city manager is open to it. And there is a true understanding that our housing system is failing hundreds of people, and it's been failing them for years. And finally, there's 4 open seats on our Housing Advisory Committee. If anyone wants to apply and join those and work on the inside through there to try to develop solutions for homelessness, we want those applications, and that's a body that's ready to take your input and work.
I'd also add that one of the things that I've been working on a little bit with the city manager is a work plan for the next 8, 9, 10 months. And one of the primary items there is to develop a homeless intervention strategy. So that's one of the things that is going to be important to all of us as well as to him. And I hope we will, I will be honest, I don't have all kinds of brainy ideas myself. That's not my area of expertise, but I know we have some very smart people on our staff who can help us that way.
It's something that has been on the radar from what I understand for this council and our new city manager for a while. It's something that has been discussed as it relates to moving forward, developing strategies, developing a plan, and all of those things. So it may appear to people that we're doing nothing, but there are things that are happening behind the scenes so that you can see that something is being done. So we don't want anyone to feel that we are so insensitive that we don't understand the plight of people that are less fortunate than we are.
Any other things we want to ask the city manager to address in the next few weeks? Hearing nothing? We're adjourned. Thank you all. Huh?
Oh, you have community
Public
matters.
Community matters, or
Oh,
maybe
your
on
second.
the phone. I don't think anyone's here.
Well, nobody else is here. That's true. Is there anybody online who would like to speak to us? I've forgotten about that.
I see one raised hand, Robin Hoffman.
All right, Ms. Hoffman?
Sorry, I really was taken by everybody's testimonials, so I really didn't get enthusiastic about the grand opening, but I do want to attribute it to the very hard work, 16 hours a day more, David Dillhunt maintaining a communication that the daily progress is no longer there. And I want to say, while I was working as an art person in Mead Park, trying to maintain the farmers who are actually growing an hour away to come to Mead Park, I want to say the people are very confused. They don't know, like even the UVA games or the TomTom games or any of these different services for food insecurity and things like that are changing names. That Charlottesville Public Access TV is a public access. If we can get every program on board and make a program for 26 minutes, we can fill up that schedule and then people can actually look to see what's going on. If they only do it once a month or they do it twice a week or whatever, it's much more informative than any news media or periodical that we have out there. So I just want to say it's so important for us to address that. And like I said, I'm trying to get money for free people who said they didn't have a dime left, for an annual membership. I just wanted to continue that conversation. I'm sorry. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hoffman.
There's also Katrina Turner.
All right, Ms. Turner?
Evening. I wanted to say I support the gardens at Washington Park. I mean, for it to be a community garden, there's many working families that are literally struggling out here. And to have a community garden to help when we can't get help would really benefit us. I also would like to speak about the jail. To put $100 million in the jail to renovate, to support more people being put behind bars is just ridiculous. As Mr. Foley said, that money could go to so much more in this community. There are people, there have been community citizens literally talking about the homeless and the houseless for years. We have asked you all for years to just look out your front door and see the people sleeping right across from City Hall. And evidently nobody has looked out that front door to see how bad of a problem it is. For there to be homeless people right in front of City Hall, this is a problem. And there has to be a solution to this problem. And to hear that black people are being harassed at the park, the police are kicking black homeless people at the park, that's disturbing, y'all. And I hope and pray that you look into this situation. I hope and pray that you find somewhere for these houseless people to be. Because if you can find land for hotels and breweries, then you can find land for houseless people.
Thank you, Ms. Turner.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else?
I see no additional hands.
All right. So that being the case, we stand adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.